In a world obsessed with status symbols, price tags, and appearances, sometimes the most powerful messages come not from what someone wears, but from who they truly are. Today's story unfolds in a luxury boutique in Beverly Hills, where a moment of arrogance meets the quiet force of humility and grace. It begins with a watch, not a Rolex, not a Patek Philippe, but a humble, inexpensive timepiece that became the symbol of a lesson one woman would never forget, and the man wearing it. None other than Keanu Reeves, the world-famous actor known not just for his roles in blockbuster films, but for his kindness, humility, and authenticity. This isn't just a story about fashion, it's about character. It's about how a moment of mockery turned into a life-altering experience, and by the end of it, you might just find yourself rethinking how you judge others and what really makes someone rich. Let's dive into the full story. Chapter 1. A Day of Luxury. It was a crisp spring morning in Beverly Hills, where the sidewalks gleamed and the storefronts shimmered with designer logos. Luxury cars hummed down Rodeo Drive, and well-heeled shoppers strolled through one of the most expensive shopping districts in the world. Inside one of the district's most exclusive boutiques, a minimalist, marble-walled shrine to Swiss craftsmanship and haute horology, a young woman named Cassandra stepped into the store with a confident click of her heels. She was used to turning heads. Immaculately dressed in a tailored Chanel coat, her designer handbag resting effortlessly in the crook of her elbow, she was every bit the image of success and refinement. Cassandra wasn't here just to browse. She was here to shop, to reward herself after closing a lucrative real estate deal in Malibu. The kind of reward that sparkled on the wrist and screamed, "I made it." She wanted the finest watch in the store, something that would speak volumes when she walked into meetings or posed on Instagram. But Cassandra's day was about to take an unexpected turn, because just moments after she entered, another shopper walked in. He didn't have the usual trappings of Rodeo Drive wealth, no entourage, no flashy clothing, no visible logos. Just a worn leather jacket, black jeans, and a quiet presence. It was Keanu Reeves. Chapter 2. Unrecognized. Keanu Reeves didn't walk in like a movie star. He didn't demand attention, nor did he expect it. In fact, he looked almost ordinary. His hair slightly tousled from the wind, his boots scuffed with city dust. He seemed more like a traveler passing through than a millionaire actor with dozens of hit films under his belt. Cassandra glanced up briefly, then returned her gaze to the glass display in front of her. She hadn't recognized him. Why would she? He wasn't dressed like someone important. To her, he was just another underdressed shopper, maybe even someone who had wandered in off the street to enjoy the air conditioning and the free espresso. Beverly Hills got plenty of those. Keanu, as always, was polite. He nodded to the salesperson, a sharply dressed man named Lucian, and quietly asked to see a particular model. A vintage-styled watch with a brown leather strap and minimalist dial, understated, elegant, but far from flashy. Cassandra overheard it, and she smirked. "That one?" she said, a little louder than necessary. "You know that's the cheapest watch in the store, right?" Lucian winced slightly. He was trained not to let his expression betray discomfort, but even he couldn't hide the tension in the moment. Keanu, however, simply turned and gave a soft smile. "I like the simplicity," he said. "It tells the time. That's what a watch is for." Cassandra raised an eyebrow. "Maybe in your world. In mine, a watch is about presence. It tells people who you are." Keanu nodded thoughtfully. "That's true. I guess mine says, I'm not in a rush." Lucian gave a subtle chuckle, but Cassandra didn't. She didn't like being challenged, even gently, especially not by someone she assumed had no idea what luxury meant. She had no clue who she was talking to. Chapter 3. The Poker Face of Humility. Keanu Reeves had been through more than most people could imagine. Loss, heartbreak, and hardship, all while navigating the world's spotlight. Yet through it all, he had remained grounded, never adopting the arrogance that often came with fame. He wasn't offended by Cassandra's tone. He'd encountered it before, in airports, on red carpets, even during interviews, people assuming they understood him because of how he looked or what he wore. What they never understood was that he'd long ago stopped needing approval. Lucien, on the other hand, was sweating. As the boutique's top salesperson, he knew very well who this quiet man was. Keanu had been in before, rarely buying anything but always respectful, always gracious. And now Lucian was faced with a dilemma. Step in and risk offending a high-spending customer like Cassandra, or let the moment play out and hope it didn't spiral. Cassandra, still amused by her own wit, turned back to the display. I mean, if you're going to buy a watch, at least make it worth something. You only live once, right? Keanu smiled again. True, but I think worth means different things to different people. You sound like a motivational poster, she scoffed. Lucian tried to diffuse the tension. Miss Cassandra, we just received the new limited edition Patek models you asked about. Would you like to try them on? She waved her hand dismissively, her eyes still lingering on Keanu. In a moment. I want to see what Mr. Simplicity picks out. This should be fun. The silence that followed was heavy, not angry but thoughtful. Keanu didn't flinch. He simply looked down at the watch he had chosen, still resting on the velvet display tray. Then he said something that changed everything. Chapter 4. The name drops without dropping. I actually designed something like this a few years ago, Keanu said casually, picking up the watch. It was part of a collaboration with a small workshop in Tokyo, handmade, no branding, just pure craftsmanship. Lucian's eyes lit up. He knew what Keanu was referring to, a rare timepiece developed in partnership with a boutique Japanese maker known only to serious collectors. It had sold out in hours and now fetched thousands at auctions. Cassandra raised an eyebrow. Wait, you design watches? Keanu shrugged. Not often. I just appreciate the art. I like things that have stories. That's when it happened. A man entering the store froze mid-step. His eyes widened as he spotted Keanu, and within seconds he was approaching, phone out, not to take a selfie but to shake his hand. Keanu, I'm sorry to bother you. I just wanted to say thank you. Your foundation helped my sister when she was going through chemo. I'll never forget it. Cassandra blinked. Her lips parted slightly. Her eyes darted between Keanu and the man, trying to process what she was seeing. Keanu smiled warmly, stood, and embraced the man like an old friend. I'm so glad she's doing better. That means the world to me. The man left without taking a photo, still visibly emotional. Now Cassandra was the one feeling out of place. Chapter 5. The facade cracks. Cassandra stood frozen, her fingers absent-mindedly tapping the glass counter. For the first time that day, her perfectly crafted confidence began to waver. She turned to Lucian, lowering her voice. Who was that? Lucian adjusted his cufflinks nervously. That gentleman? He's Keanu Reeves. Cassandra stared blankly, and then her eyes widened. Her mouth opened just slightly as if to speak, but nothing came out. Keanu Reeves. The Keanu Reeves, the one from John Wick. The Matrix. The one whose kindness stories floated all over the internet like urban legends come true. No way, she whispered. That's him? Lucian gave a tight nod. Yes, miss, he visits once in a while. Quiet. Never buys much. Just likes to look. Cassandra's world tilted slightly. She had just mocked Keanu Reeves for wearing a cheap watch, and not just in a private way. publicly, loudly, to his face. She turned to look at him again. He was back at the display, admiring the simple piece like it was a painting in a museum. Not angry, not smug, not offended, just calm. That was what made it worse. Chapter 6. Ego and Echoes. It's easy to apologize when someone gets angry, but when they respond with silence and grace, the shame echoes louder. Cassandra tried to recalibrate. She stepped toward Keanu, her tone softer now, almost tentative. I didn't mean to be rude earlier. I didn't realize who you were. Keanu looked at her with gentle eyes. It's okay. Most people don't. No, she said quickly. I mean, I wouldn't have said what I said if I had known. He paused, then smiled faintly. That's the thing, though. Should it matter who someone is for them to be treated with respect? Cassandra swallowed hard. The words were so simple, but they struck her like thunder. She tried to laugh it off. Fair enough. I guess I've been around too many people who wear their status on their sleeves. Or their wrists. Keanu nodded. Yeah, it's easy to get used to that, but sometimes the loudest watches are worn by the quietest people. Lucian, standing a few feet away, glanced down to hide a smile. It wasn't every day you saw someone get gently schooled by Keanu Reeves, using only kindness and truth. Chapter 7. A Different Kind of Rich. Keanu continued, not out of pride, but as someone reflecting aloud. I remember once I met this monk in Nepal. He wore a broken watch that didn't even tick anymore. When I asked him why he still wore it, he said, because it reminds me of the time I've already been given. Lucien's mouth parted slightly at the profundity. Keanu wasn't judging her, but that only made the mirror he held up more painful. She took a breath and tried again. Do you always wear something like that? She asked, motioning to his watch. He looked at it. Sometimes I switch it out depending on what I'm doing, but this one's my favorite. Why? It was a gift from someone who had nothing to give but time. That silence came again, not awkward, just deeply human. Chapter 8. Stories over Status. Cassandra sat down on one of the boutique's velvet stools, for once unsure of herself. What does it feel like, she asked softly, knowing people respect you for who you are, not just for what you have? Keanu looked thoughtful. I think everyone wants that, whether they realize it or not. Lucian brought over a tray with several rare pieces. Would you like to see the limited edition Audemars Piguet models, Mr. Reeves? Keanu shook his head. No thanks, I'll take this one, he said, pointing to the humble watch he had picked out earlier. Cassandra blinked. Wait, you're really buying that one? Yeah, Keanu said, smiling. It's enough. Lucien nodded and walked off to ring it up. Cassandra watched him, the gears in her mind turning. Not just about Keanu, but about herself. She realized she didn't know what enough looked like anymore. Chapter 9. A Teachable Moment. Lucian returned with the box, neatly tied with a black ribbon. As Keanu handed over his card, Cassandra stood and walked beside him. I judged you by your watch, she admitted. That was shallow. Keanu chuckled. It happens. We all make snap judgments. But I should know better, she said. I've been judged my whole life. By how I look, how I talk. I guess I started doing it to others. He didn't preach. He didn't scold. He just nodded with quiet understanding. You ever read The Little Prince? He asked. She looked at him, puzzled. In school, maybe. There's a line in it, Keanu said. Something like, what is essential is invisible to the eye. She let the words wash over her. They felt right, like a key that had been waiting for a lock. Chapter 10. The Shift. The boutique door opened and another customer entered, greeted by Lucian's colleagues. Cassandra looked around at the polished floors, the chandeliers, the silent rows of watches under glass. It all seemed less impressive now, not because it wasn't beautiful, but because beauty, she now realized, wasn't the same as value. She turned to Keanu once more. "You've probably been told this a million times, but you're different." "I hope so," he said with a grin. "No, I mean, really different. You carry yourself like you don't need anything from anyone." He shrugged. "Needing less gives you more space for what matters." And with that, he picked up the small paper bag with his new watch and turned toward the door. Chapter 11. The Walk Away. As Keanu reached the boutique door, Cassandra stood still, as if tethered to the floor by 100 unspoken thoughts. She wanted to say something, anything, to make the moment last just a little longer. "Wait," she blurted. Keanu turned around slowly, his signature calm still intact. "Yeah?" Cassandra stepped forward, the veneer of her earlier bravado completely gone. "Can I ask you something weird?" He smiled. "You can ask. If you had all the money in the world, I mean everything, what would you do differently?" Keanu paused. It was a question he had probably been asked before, but not like this. Not with this much vulnerability. "I think I'd just help more people," he said. "I've already got more than I need. But a lot of others don't, so yeah, I'd keep doing what I'm doing, just more of it." There was nothing performative about his answer. No grandstanding, just truth. And it pierced through Cassandra like a breeze through a broken window, gentle but impossible to ignore. As he walked out, the door chimed behind him with the softest bell, and just like that, he was gone. Chapter 12. The Aftershock. Lucian came over with a glass of water. "You okay, Miss Cassandra?" She nodded slowly. "I think I just met someone who lives in a completely different world, but somehow sees this one more clearly than the rest of us." Lucian chuckled. "That's Keanu. He doesn't just act in movies. He acts with purpose." She turned toward the case of watches, the ones she had been ready to drop 6 figures on just an hour ago. Now they looked like relics from a past life. "I don't want the Patek," she said quietly. Lucian blinked. "Oh? I want something simpler, something that reminds me." He nodded, not pushing, not selling, just understanding. Cassandra pointed to a modest automatic model. Clean lines, leather strap, no diamonds, no complications. It didn't scream, it whispered. "That one," she said. "Let's go with that." Chapter 13. The Shifting Reflection. Later that afternoon, Cassandra sat in her car, the new watch on her wrist. She stared at it, not because it was shiny or expensive, but because it held meaning now. It was more than a timepiece. It was a turning point. She opened her phone and searched Keanu Reeves charity. A flood of articles popped up. Cancer foundations, children's hospitals, behind-the-scenes stories of generosity, all without publicity. One headline stood out: "Keanu Reeves secretly funds children's wards across L.A." She swallowed hard. Another article mentioned his philosophy of doing quiet good. She read every word, feeling a strange mix of admiration and discomfort. How had she been so blind? Cassandra looked at her reflection in the rearview mirror. She didn't like what she saw, not physically, but morally. "I want to be better," she whispered. Not richer, not prettier, not more followed on social media. Just better. Thanks for watching.